The rarest Super Nintendo games on planet Earth. Why do collectors like me and you go to the nth degree to score the rarest games? I have no idea, honestly. It's just the thrill of the chase, and then when you have them in your collection, there's just something so incredible and magic about owning them. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to talk to you today with us rapidly approaching the end of 2023, and depending on what sources you look at online, there are many different lists as to the rarest Super Nintendo games, but I own 4 of the rarest Super Nintendo games on Earth, and we're going to hyper focus on them. And I'm going to start with an absolute banger. This is the Batman Forever Woolworths edition, obviously exclusive to Woolworths, and making it all the more rare because Woolworths is now defunct as a high street store. It does appear online from time to time, but to be able to go into a Woolworths store is a sad loss to humanity and is a sad loss to nostalgia. But I digress. You want to know about this video game. This includes the Super Nintendo game itself, which is not that great by all accounts. There is a VHS and there is this gorgeous little special 90s diary. I had lots of these diaries when I was a little girl, writing your mate's address and telephone numbers down before the likes of the mobile phone hit the back pocket of most people today. This thing was an absolute incredible piece of kit, the diary, but there are things that are very special about this variant that make it so incredibly expensive. I did a YouTube short and I'll put it on the screen right now. There are a couple of stickers in this, including this holographic sticker that, if your set has it, increases the value incredibly. So my tip to you, if you see one of these on eBay or you see one out in the wild, if you're lucky enough, make sure you go through the diary, that all the paged stickers are there, and that there is the Bruce Wayne holographic sticker that must be there. There's also a pen, the original pen that came with the diary. These little things that make all the difference, to the monetary value as well. Please make sure you check. Now, unfortunately, the outer casing box of mine is a little bit battered, but it was that way when I purchased it. If you're wondering what I purchased it for, it was £315, which is about $330 to $40 US quite some years ago. I recently ordered a custom coffin to protect it, and I'll put the name of the person who I ordered it from on Etsy on screen now. He's a very nice chap. Go and check him out. I'm not paid. I just want to put that out there that he reached out to me and he said, send me the measurements, I will make you this. So I do think that it is now for me about keeping it incredibly untouched as much as I can. I own another copy of the game anyway, so I have absolutely no desire to play that whatsoever from that variant. But as a freaking expensive Super Nintendo game, if you get it immaculate, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, especially complete. I would guesstimate that mine is probably between £600 to £1,000, depending on what day it is and who wants to buy it. It's not for sale, by the way. Don't DM me. It is not for sale. It is an incredible piece that I will cherish forever. Next up, Hagan, if I've pronounced it right. This is unboxed, as you can see, and I want to give my friend Reese a shout out for surprising me one day when I got home and he bought me a copy of Hagan. It must have cost a fortune, I don't even ask. But if you can buy this or find this boxed, and I've only ever seen it boxed once, you can expect to pay anywhere from £1,500 upwards. You might be wondering why. Well, this was never sold to the mainstream. It was only ever a Blockbuster Video rental copy only. And like Woolworths, Blockbuster is now defunct. So anything that was from Blockbuster or is Blockbuster branded has additional value and has additional sentimental value. So this doesn't have any Blockbuster labeling on whatsoever, but this was a Blockbuster exclusive. Now the game itself is very, 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 very difficult. I did play it recently when I played some of the hardest games in the world for a video, and I didn't get very far. it's not actually that enjoyable either. Maybe it's just me. It probably is just me, but nonetheless, it's a really, really cool piece of Super Nintendo history, and the fact that it's from Blockbuster as well just warms my soul no end. I want to know if you've got any special Blockbuster games. Maybe you've got an old rental case or something really cool like that. Whack it in the Discord. The link will be below. Next up then is something else from Blockbuster. We've all spoke about the Blockbuster competition with the Starwing competition and the Donkey Kong Country competition. Those cartridges were made specifically for the competitions. I took part in the Donkey Kong Country Blockbuster competition back in the day. I don't remember seeing the Starwing one in my local Blockbuster. I probably missed it, but I do own a Starwing competition cartridge. I paid £200 for this a few years ago, and I took the liberty of posting it in one of the groups on Facebook, and some fool said that that's a repro. So off I went with my little unscrewy Super Nintendo tool, and indeed it is an original. There are less than 2,000 of these in circulation. I think there are around 2,000 made at the time. I dare say that there's very, very little left in that 2,000. They're very hard to come by. And again, you're probably asking, what is the difference? There were 3 levels made specifically for this cartridge, and you had to complete the levels and get the highest score in a given time. Obviously, the winner won really, really cool things, and there's people out there with certificates, jackets, hats, absolutely incredible stuff. I don't think I got anything for coming second in the Donkey Kong Country competition, but if I did, I would have probably chucked the stuff away in the early 2000s, like I just got rid of all my retro stuff back then. But it's really cool. Now, interestingly, the Donkey Kong Country competition cartridge is way more I've never seen one. It's way more difficult to come by, and there are around 2,500 of those in circulation. So the Starwing or Star Fox one is definitely more obscure. I think I might set myself a challenge to find a Star Fox competition cartridge to match my Starwing competition cartridge. I know, it's crazy, but this video is more about the collecting side of me rather than the gaming side of me. So I think it's a really cool piece to have. I think it was last year when I managed to get a copy of Harvest Moon on the Super Nintendo. This came very late into the Super Nintendo life cycle, to the point where the console itself was dying a death, and games around 1996 were limited in much smaller numbers because of the Nintendo 64 coming out, and of course we were well into the 32-bit era with the PlayStation 1, which did really knock the 16-bit consoles off the shelf. Harvest Moon, unfortunately, is in Dutch. No. My Harvest Moon is unfortunately in German, and there is no kind of flick to English. So it is really just about me being a little bit more egotistical with this game because I can't play it because I'm an idiot. And I knew that anyway buying it. I just wanted to buy this immaculate copy. I think I only paid around £200 for it. But if you can get an English PAL copy of Harvest Moon CIB, you better dig deep in your wallets because they cost a fortune. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy that these games that nobody cared for back in the 90s and probably picked up for a few quid at car boots now cost absolutely thousands. But for me, as a collector, not a gamer, I think that fascinates me. It's absolutely fascinating. So go and dig deep in your Super Nintendo collections. If you have a PAL copy of Harvest Moon, you're onto a winner. Like I said, there's many sources online that will give you a different list of the most valuable Super Nintendo games in the world. Obviously, we have way more cool stuff, I think, in America with the this kind of different competition cartridges that I've seen online that I never even knew existed unless I dived onto these particular websites. But still, I think it's really cool to know. Now, stepping outside of mainstream releases, we have seen many different releases for things like this. There are 5,000 of these made, and I paid £99 about 5 years ago for my copy. I believe there was a red and a green cartridge. One of the two was more rare. There was only 100 of those. I have the more common colour, and I'll put it on screen now, but I kept the sticker on there because again I just think it adds that little bit of finesse. And there's lots of games like this that were never sold mainstream, that were re-released in very limited numbers, and I think it's really cool. It's a part of the Super Nintendo history. Of course, a game like Street Fighter 2 is incredibly culturally and sentimentally important to me and to many of you out there. Maybe you're just an arcade player of Street Fighter 2. Maybe you're a hardcore console player like me, but nonetheless, I do appreciate the limited run kind of games, as much as I don't agree with limited run as a company because they take bloody forever to get your products to you. I do think that what these kinds of companies put out do just kind of make you fall in love with the games just over and over again. And again, that just makes me feel so good from my core, and I'm smiling because I just feel great about it. Sharing my passion for video games is incredibly important for me, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode. My goal here is to entertain you and take you away from reality, because let's face it, not everyone's reality is great, but we can find some comfort, we can find some solace in playing and collecting and searching for retro games. In fact, all video games, as I sit around a tower of PS4 games over there and PS5 stuff. So if you've enjoyed it, please leave a like rating and please subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode on Monday. Take care, guys, and I'll see you then. I need a few seconds of your time to tell you about channel memberships. If you guys want to become a channel member, click join from the main page or the second link in the description. There are 3 tiers, all with different perks for you if you want to become a team member. Thanks for your time. Let's continue with the video.